Hello, Gore Clubbers. October has arrived. It's time for haunted trails, haunted discoveries, hoodies, harvest fests, pumpkin spice everything, and of course, horror movies. Hello, Gore Clubbers. Welcome back. It is Halloween night. We recorded most of these videos in September, except for this one right here. It's actually Halloween when I'm recording this. And then watch me not be able to edit it, and then it comes out November 1st. That's Gore Club. On a more serious note, I'd like to say thank you to everyone who's taken this journey with us this month and for the last 3 seasons. This will be our 4th season starting this winter. What the hell is wrong with everybody? But seriously, we thank you. Thank you for liking and subscribing and sharing and commenting. Those little things matter when it comes to creating content, and at least somebody out there enjoys it, hopefully. I hope. But now, let's get to it. The Gore Club Podcast 31 Nights of Halloween pick for tonight is a fucking trick. There's 2. What? It's Halloween. It's tricks and treats, and I couldn't choose between one or the other. One is an old classic that helped start the genre of slashers, and the other one is a genre-bending anthology film that was based on a fake comic book that didn't exist at the time. Well, I'm talking about John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween and Michael Dougherty's 2007 Trick or Treat, Trick or Treat. I'm going to go back and forth between each film and explain why these movies matter more than any other Halloween movie to me. And if you agree with me, that's great. If you don't agree with me, that's even more fun, actually. John Carpenter's Halloween. What hasn't been said about this movie? Just like when Dave chose Evil Dead 2, I'm like, what can we say about this movie that hasn't been said? There's not. You know it all now. You know about the mask. You know about the jack-o'-lantern. Well, you should. You know about the costumes. You know about who did what and where it was filmed and how it was filmed and how it was guerrilla style. And that's what makes this movie what it is. Whatever Hollywood studio Tronkus allows to create the next sequel or prequel or reboot, it doesn't matter. And it can never taint the original. And if you saw it when you were young, it's even better. Seeing it as an adult is a completely different experience than seeing it as a child. It just is. That's how movies and books work. It's the simplicity. And yes, it's again about it. Why does everyone keep saying the same thing about these movies, especially Halloween? It's because it's true. You cannot tarnish these movies. I have friends who love the Rob Zombie movies, and I have friends who hate the Rob Zombie movies. I have friends who love The Curse of Michael Myers, people who love the producer's cut of The Curse of Michael Myers. From the opening Ray Stella shot floating through the autumn night, it just captures you. The music captures you. The look captures you. That these young kids, and they were kids at the time, were in a van and made a movie that they thought could be better than even was on the page. It means volumes. We're not talking about a genre or even a subgenre that was tested and tried and true. These kids were like, you know what? We just got out of film school. We made a couple of movies. We want to make one. Even if it's made for nothing, we're going to make it great. And that's what these kids did. Dean Cundy, Ray Stella, John Carpenter, Nancy Keys, Nancy Loomis, Tommy Lee Wallace, totally PJ Soles, and 4 of the most important people in this film, besides John Carpenter, Nick Castle, Jamie Lee Curtis, Deborah Hill, and of course, Donald Pleasance. Rest in pictures, baby. We miss you. Those 2 last ones especially made that movie what it is to me. Deborah Hill is sorely missed, and if you don't understand her contribution to this film and other films that she's touched, even just helped on, you don't understand Deborah Hill. And I have to talk about it. It's awful, but it's true. Deborah Hill was diagnosed with colon cancer in 2004. And even with the amputation of her legs, she still passed away. That woman fought to the end to survive and give us more art. And she lost that fight, and we can't forget that. Deborah Hill. Boy, this got heavy. Sorry about that. I know it got heavy, but I think those people is so important and integral to make what makes the Halloween 1978 what it is. And what it is magic. Now, the budget for this is about $300,000. It varies up and down, but the box office is like $70 million and still growing, and it deserves it. Every ripoff, every homage, every nod, every remake and reboot that we have to go through does not tarnish this movie, and that's what makes it great. Is this a great representation of teenage life in 1978? I think so. I had an older sister, she had older friends, and they all seemed to kind of act this way. There was an innocence at that time. Blah, blah, blah. We didn't have the internet. All we had was the library, and if you went there, you were a fucking geek. You had to sneak in. By the way, that's where I ate my lunch. I ate lunch. Styles would hold over for almost a decade back then. And if you were a kid, you didn't even have Star Wars yet, just Star Trek, the motion picture. Now on to Trick or Treat. To Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat, produced by, we're not going to say his name on this fucking podcast. 2007, Michael Dougherty. People say Michael Dougherty came out of nowhere. That's not true. He helped or co-wrote a few Hollywood scripts. X-Men 2, Superman Returns. And some people forget that because that's how he could get people like Anna Paquin, Brian Cox, to be in his very first film. And to be honest, he had a huge budget, $12 million. But what he did with that budget, it helped change the face of Halloween again for me. Help reviving that love of old school Halloween masks. Whether it's a pump slapped on a kid's head, a Ben Cooper style mask, mom slaps some lipstick on. It doesn't matter. You realize how creepy all of those tropes are. Because of this movie, people went out and bought a comic book again. This movie is more important than you realize. And it wasn't a theatrical release. Harry Knowles helped get a screening going. After that, you did not even see a theater screen until last year, officially. And even then, it wasn't a huge hit. It grew, much like Halloween, but at a much slower pace. Those of us that wanted to see this movie because we're foaming at the mouth for this movie because of websites and magazines couldn't wait for it. It just looked cool, and nobody knew anything about it. We just knew there might be a werewolf. We knew there might be trick-or-treating. We thought it might even be set in a movie theater. There were so many ideas swimming about, and when I finally got to see it, I loved it. I freaking loved it. I remember shouting out, this is what Creepshow 3 should be. I wasn't kidding. This is what Creepshow 3 should have been. Kidding. Have you seen Creepshow 3? Anyways, sadly to this day at the box office, it's only made like $27,000. This doesn't even match its budget yet. It made all of its love and its money from us, you and I, seeking it out. What's this piece of art? Where's this mask coming from? We didn't even have these. People were making all the masks in the movie out of paper mache and burlap, whatever they could do to find it, could do to fill that experience again. Because just like old days, you couldn't find it anywhere. You could tell your friends and be like, well, it's probably it might be at Walmart. It might be at Target. Once they were gone, they were gone. And that's where the underground artists come in, and they really pumped it up. You would see it on a t-shirt, unlicensed, bootleg, whatever. And I loved all of it. That's the fanfare. So let's jump back to the movie a little bit. I have to digress. Season's Greetings is the original Michael Dougherty short. Of the physical copies that you have of Trick or Treat, it's on there. And that is Michael Dougherty's very first little animated short he made with Sam. Sam. Instead of Michael, we have Sam. And Sam is not your friend. He's the embodiment of Halloween. Samhain. Also known as Samhain. He's kind of like our guide. He's almost like our crypt keeper, our old hag, our fearmonger, our horror host, if you will, through the crypt of Halloween, which would have been a cool name too, by the way. So what you have here is that Michael Dougherty taking his love of old school masks, trick-or-treating, folk tales, folklore, and the season, and putting it all together with a comic book feel. How can you not love this movie? The cinematographer, Glenn McPherson, makes everything look amazing, wet, cold, has that perfect feel, and it still gives you that vibe of Halloween, almost like Mardi Gras scenes. As he crawls around the city in that huge Halloween fest, you get to meet all of the characters in this film within the first 5 minutes if you keep an open eye. And that's what's great about good anthologies. They're all connected in some way or another, and you find out that they are. Why is the embodiment of Halloween stalking this town? Is Halloween just a facade? Is it just a cash grab? Is Sam Samhain actually just mad at commercialism? He hasn't seen it yet. Shit. And the cast is fantastic. Dylan Baker as Principal Wilkins. What a scumbag who also loves Halloween and understands its traditions. Of course he's a psychotic person. You meet Lori, this cute little Red Riding Hood who's just innocent and doesn't like sex and can't get laid. Hello, Jamie Lee Curtis. And Brian Cox is Mr. Krieg, the ultimate bastard of Halloween. And my favorite character, Sam Todd, is Rhonda, the slightly autistic, quote-unquote, idiot savant of Halloween. That's me. That's us. And then with this movie, we get it all. We get it all. We get it all. We get costumes. We get werewolves. We get vampires. You get zombies before we wish they were actually dead. You get hot chicks and fun teens. Halloween party that I remember going to that I should not have been at. And there's a backstory to this entire movie, the Halloween School Bus Massacre, that ties everything together in a beautiful, rotten orange bow. Seeing the trailers for this movie, Principal Wilkins going over the rules of Halloween and it just washing over me the memories of being a kid and being able to go knock on doors and throw eggs, skip school that day, skip school the next day, because candy overload is a real thing. But the whole point of why this movie is the same level as the original Halloween to me is because it makes me feel exactly the same. I'm not a character in any of these movies, but watching them, I feel their pain. I understand their loneliness. I understand having friends that might suck. But most of all, I love to trick or treat. I love to have fun. I love to be scared. And I love to watch low budget horror films with great quality, or even a larger budget Hollywood movie that really cares about its audience. And I think that both these movies have that. To Halloween with its million sequels and its branches and its the season of the witch debate. I love them all for various reasons, but nothing gets in the way of the very first Halloween 1978 and Trick or Treat 2007. A 30-year difference, but every time I see them, I want to pull out a mask, not check my candy, blow up a jack-o'-lantern, and toilet paper my own house because I don't want to get sued. And there it is, everyone. I tried to keep it short, but we're talking about two movies that mean the world to me and represent, I think, everything about Halloween that I love. Samhain. And again, thank you for taking this journey with us. It's been 31 nights of Halloween here at the Gore Club Podcast. You don't have to check your candy tonight, but I would. Happy Halloween, everybody. Find some clothes, kill some people, make some friends. Maybe not that last part. Gore Club Podcast. This is the Gore Club Podcast with Steve Vessell, Ace, and Deathmetal.